Welcome back to the Alec Lewis Show. I am your host, Alec Lewis. This is episode 109, recording on Wednesday, September 3rd. I am here at the TCO Performance Center in Eagan, Minnesota, getting ready for the first day of practice ahead of the Monday Night Football game between the Vikings and the Chicago Bears. This is going to be very fun. Can't wait to do it. Have Pete Bercich on today. He's obviously the analyst on the Vikings Audio Network. He has a YouTube channel we're going to talk a little bit about called Eye in the Sky, where he watches film and analyzes. And I'm going to link in the description his video on the Vikings and Lions and Ben Johnson and Brian Flores, which I thought was great. And like I said, we'll discuss it a little bit, but please go check out that video. Pete has put a lot of time in and appreciate the work that he has done. It's informed the coverage and everything else. So, please go check that out. As always, this show is presented by First Resource Bank. That is a member FDIC bank in the Minneapolis area, run by Tim Siegley, Aaron Siegley, Charlie Anderson, and a bunch of great folks who work at the home base on Washington, but they got branches all over the place. The online banking platform is awesome and easy to use, so please go check out First Resource Bank. The information for them is also in the description. You're here, so hit that subscribe button. Takes 2 seconds, helps us out. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, like and rate and review and all that good stuff, go check out a lot of stories we've had over at theathletic.com, where I do my day job covering this team. We'll have an announcement later this week on another addition to this show that I can't wait to unveil. And then the plan for this year, it's tentative, but the idea, I think, is we're going to try to do a post-game morning pod. So, like if Monday night game, so Tuesday morning-ish around 9, 10 a.m., I want to have the advanced metrics and film to be able to give you guys the best rundown post-game, and then we'll do kind of a preview-ish type pod later in the week, each week. But that's the plan. Can't wait to get this thing rolling. I'm looking at a document of all my preview stuff, film watching and everything, but just love to do this, love to communicate with you guys directly. If you have questions, toss them in the comments or at me on social media, at Alec_Lewis. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Without further ado, let's hop right in our conversation with Mr. Pete Bercich. All right, Pete, having you back on the show for probably the 19th time. You're too kind with your time.
It's our bit.
But Vikings, Bears, yeah, it is the bit. It's Vikings, Bears. You have a place in Chicago. You have a place here. You've been doing film breakdowns. It's great to talk to you. How excited are you, before we get into the nitty gritty, how excited are you for what Monday night spectacle is going to be?
I don't know if I could. For an opening game on a Monday night or whatever opening game, I don't think I could be more excited. And it's more personal. It's still one of 17 games, but having been born in Joliet, grow up in New Lenox, go to high school here in the Chicago area, go to Notre Dame. This is it. This is all my family's from this area. So think about this. I was 14 when the Bears won the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, 13 in 1985. That is as a kid, that is like the perfect age for your team to win it all, right? And there's a documentary about the Super Bowl shuffle and some other things, because that media wasn't what it is now, and they kind of took over, and it was amazing. It was a movement. It was a great experience. So that's always been part of me. Now, my dad was on the original Dallas Cowboy football team in 1960. So I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan as well, because of my father. So it's not like you have loyalty to one team, and it was very hard back then to follow multiple teams. You didn't have Sunday ticket. You couldn't watch. You could only watch the local game, the Monday night game, and that was it. So a little more difficult back then. But there were a number of teams that I enjoyed to watch. I've always liked the Vikings, because as a kid, we'd go up to Minnesota for a month to go fishing and up in the Boundary Waters and all that. So when I got drafted by the Vikings, I was absolutely thrilled because I had been up there. I knew Minneapolis, in 30 years with the Vikings. So obviously my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears have been given to the purple. But to go back to your point, to be able to, this isn't the Browns. This isn't the Colts. This is a team that I've been following since I was a little kid, and all that. I mean, that's where you start with this game. So you asked me if I'm excited. Yes, definitely. But again, it's not as if this game is bigger than any of the other ones. It's a divisional game. But for me personally, yeah, and even on the football side, it's so compelling.
Yeah. I told you this before we started recording, but you have a YouTube channel now called Eye in the Sky. I'm going to link it in the description because I really want people to go watch this preview type video that you did with Brian Flores going up against Ben Johnson. I thought it was just exceptional. I told you this before we started. Think it's probably as in-depth and high level of analysis as you're probably going to find. The folks listening to this, watching this on YouTube, Vikings fans, it is accessible. It's great quality. And I don't just say that because you come on 19 times. What was your biggest takeaway from watching the film of the matchups between Ben Johnson and Brian Flores?
I guess the biggest takeaways in I guess the video itself kind of takes you on a certain level through the game planning process, meaning you take a look at the numbers, and the Bears have scored on average 16 points per game against Brian Flores. 3-1 the Vikings are against the Bears. The only game that Flores lost, with defense only gave up 12 points. It was a 12-10 affair. And then you look at the Lions and you go, my God, we've been giving up over 30 points per game against the Lions. Now, don't forget, week 17, with about 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter, it was still 10-9. You can't forget all those things. The numbers are great. We remember how you felt at the end of the game because you saw the scoreboard, but don't forget, that was only, getting in the third quarter, that thing was still very, very close. So there are those numbers, and you start going, okay, is there anything to back that up? And that's where the film comes in. And so you watch the games, you rewatch the games, and then you look at the big plays throughout the course of the game, and then you put them all together. So you end up with like 75 plays, 30, whatever. And then you start looking through those and say, is there a theme here? And then you start going, okay, well, we know Ben Johnson loves to play action pass, but it's worked against us much more so than the drop back passing game has. And what have been the big plays? We know Jahmyr Gibbs scored 5 touchdowns rushing against a defense that only gave up 12 all season. One guy gave up 5.
Crazy.
And then you watch the touchdown runs and you go, I'll be dang. 3 of those 5 touchdown runs were with two backs in the backfield out of I near formation. And you're like, this is simple football. This isn't rocket science. He's not doing anything. Is it like I said in the beginning, is it the X's and the O's, or is it the Jimmys and the Joes? And you don't lay it out and it's just let you take, I guess I'm trying to take the viewer through this process. And, in the end, I think, realize that there's so much going on, and the players ultimately win and lose football games. But in the salary capped NFL, coaching matters. And I'm laying that out. At the same time, it's not Jahmyr Gibbs, it's DeAndre Swift. So, can the play action passing game be there's a big difference when you're handing a football off to a guy and he's darting you and burning you for 40 yards at a time, or has. That's a different level of focus. I played linebacker. I know, right? You go against Barry Sanders in the Detroit Lions back in the day, and the play action passing game was honored much more than you would anybody else because that's the number one threat. So what does all that mean? Will Ben Johnson carry that over? Can he carry it over? These are all the things that I can't wait to see develop during the football game. But I think it gives you a different level to watch the game. right? It's a whole different level of engagement with what is going on the field. And that's what I do in the booth. That's why I love to do what I do. And to be able to share that, I wish everybody could watch a game kind of like I do. It's that much. It's just that you want to be engulfed in a game. And again, I know people are, because people are betting nowadays and all that. But if you really truly want to watch a game, and it's I don't know, it's just more satisfying. It's football is the best game that there is. It's still a team game. It's one of the few team games that are left. And as much as the game is changing, that element of it's still there. And as much as I can bring that out to the fan and let them share in that experience, if I can do that a little bit, then that's my goal with this. That's all it is. It's just help the fan understand the game more, look at it the way you and I have to look at it, and watch the whole thing unravel and just have fun doing it. Eat some chips, have a couple adult beverages and just sit back and let this thing play out. I mean, how much fun is this? Ben Johnson, Brian Flores, you got new toys on offense. They got a whole new toy. It's going to be so much fun.
It's funny. I did a TV hit this week with Fox 32 in Chicago, and they asked me about Brian Flores and Ben Johnson, and I was like giddy answering the question because it really is so fun. One of the things in your film breakdown that I thought was, and you just kind of touched on it, but I thought was very interesting, is you went through a lot of the play action pass that Ben Johnson, the Lions, had executed against Brian Flores, and some of those like deep developing in breakers in a lot of space amid the Vikings defense. And as I watched it and watched you break it down and listen to you, a question in my mind was, is this pass protection going to be good enough, like Detroit's pass protection was, to allow those to be hit over the course of over the middle of the field? And is Caleb Williams going to be accurate enough, consistent enough, the way that Jared Goff was in Detroit, to hit those passes over the middle of the field? So I pose it to you of how much was that on your mind watching this? And how much do you think like those two aspects in this game Monday night are going to be critical? The pass protection from the Bears offensively, and Caleb Williams' accuracy and probably progression and eye discipline in reading out progressions over the middle of the field.
See, that's the whole point, is you're asking the right questions. And think about that as if you're a viewer or a listener, you're saying, "Oh my God, I can watch. I'm watching this game at a different level." You're not just watching the ball snap and fall. You're like, okay, can they hold up against the play action? Can this offensive line, this revamped offensive line with Joe Thuney and Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson, right? They still have Braxton Jones at left tackle, and Grenard had a couple great games against him a year ago. What's going to give? Are they going to, with a more mobile Caleb Williams, do a little bit more of the bootlegs and dashes and maybe some other things, not just the hard downhill play action like you had with Goff, because that was a huge asset to Goff in his game. He has a different guy now. How much is he going to change? Is he going to try to fit a square peg in a round hole? If you see the downhill play action, Caleb Williams top of the drop, they don't want him to scramble, he's throwing a football down the field and it's not working. Well, it's like, Johnson's trying to fit Caleb Williams into a Jared Goff box, and it's not working right now.
Sure.
Cool. Awesome. Right. Maybe it still continues to work. I don't know. We'll see. But those questions you're asking, we don't have answers to, mainly because, and I don't have opinions on yet, because we haven't seen any of these guys play. Once you start seeing a game or two on film, you could say, okay, well, this guy's holding up well. This guy's, you can start, I think, projecting a little bit more. But right now, at this point, we haven't seen any of these guys take the field. None of them, really. Yeah. I mean, a few starters. So who's going to, I don't know. DeAndre Swift. Which DeAndre Swift are we going to get? The one that played in Detroit or the one that's been playing in Chicago? Well, you got the coach back, so who's it going to be? I don't know, right? It's so, I wish I could answer those questions, but those right now at this, again, at this stage with no film, there's a crystal ball. No one has a crystal ball. Here's something I want to bring up to you, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember this, and this is something I didn't really talk about in the video, but Flores' scheme is not a stagnant one. This is how he does it, and this is how it's going to be done. You have proof of that. You watch video on him from 23, his first year here. We had a zero blitz look a ton. And we had a ton of one-on-one tackles on the outside that had they been missed, it would have been big plays. Last year, we didn't get as much of that. My point is Flores and what he calls and what he schemes, it changes. So how is that going to look this year? We don't know. And we're not going to know until we see if I'm telling you, if Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Van Ginkel, and Grenard, if those four can get pressure on the quarterback and get to that 50 sack number for the season, he may not blitz at all. Why would you? Right? Why would you? I think Brian, I'm starting to understand, I think, his mentality a little bit. And I should ask him this one day, but I don't want to. I prefer to just guess on my own. It's more fun that way. Is that 40% blitz rate that we did last year, the number he wants is 50. He wants 50 sacks a game, 50 sacks a season, and he'll blitz as much as he has to get to that number. And if he doesn't have to blitz, how low will that number go? I don't know. And that's it in a nutshell. If you see Caleb Williams dropping back and there's nobody in his face, then yeah, they're going to start blitzing more. They're going to get more aggressive. Flores, I think that's a priority to him, more so than giving up a first down or two along the way on a play action pass. So now that goes to my don't panic on if they hit a play action pass or two. You know, we're saying our priority is getting pressure on the quarterback, and if we give up a play or two here or there, which you're going to do, that's just par for the course. They got a salary cap too. They got great players too. They're going to move the football. It's just choosing your identity and sticking to it, and that I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see.
It's this is going to be the most basic, elementary thing probably I've ever said on this podcast. But I watching some of the film of last year and Caleb Williams last year, and just watching some of the Lions versus Vikings film from last year as well. Like, I just think tackling well is such a key to this game for the Vikings. And it is, I mean, we saw it last year a million times with Jahmyr Gibbs out in space and the inability to tackle him. But I would expect them to try to get DJ Moore the ball in the backfield. Yep. And he can be dynamic after the catch, after the touch. Luther Burden at Mizzou was the same way. Can they get these guys on the ground and just be efficient in tackling? Again, it's so elementary, but I really do think it is such a massive point to this game and how they may structure offense. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with you 100%. I'll say this too. Another part of Ben Johnson's offense, and I didn't get into the video, it's a timing offense, right? The Detroit Lions were huge with yards after catch. Yak, not yards after hit or contact per se. They got that as well as with the running backs. But it's yards after catch. And the hardest part, I think, to explain is yards after catch isn't necessarily that your wide receivers are better runners and harder to tackle than the rest of them in the league. What that means is your offense is well timed. And by that, I mean the ball is getting out on time. I go through it with the Caleb Williams bootleg that he had. I think it was to Cole Kmet early on in the game, where runs a bootleg, turns around, boom, throws the football, and the tight end catches the football with about 5 yards of space in between he and the flat defender. That gives the tight end time to turn his shoulders upfield, stiff arm, and that 3-2, he caught the ball in the line of scrimmage. So instead of a throw catch tackle for 2 yards, that was an 8-yard gain. You multiply that over 30 pass attempts, that's a lot. So the timing of this offense, and when you say tackling, I'm saying the best way to help your tackling is to disrupt the timing of this offense. And what we saw out of Caleb Williams last year was what? Top of the get to the getting set in the drop. When he sets himself, and that's why film is so cool, because when the quarterback gets back and sets himself, you pause it and you look to see where the wide receivers are and what areas are coming open. And when the quarterback sets and the receivers are not even in their break yet, the timing of that offense is off. That's a problem. We saw that a lot with him last year. I guarantee you that's one of the things that Ben Johnson's working with him on. And the best way to build that timing is a short passing game. 1, 2, 3, plant, throw. 1, 2, 3, plant, throw to the whether it's the flat or a quick curl or whatever. That's the key. That's another big part of key. So to help your tackling, you need to disrupt timing, being physical. You only have 5 yards to do it if you're a defensive back. Can they do that? Are we going to do it? But another huge, that's the West Coast offense, right? When you go back into the 80s when the West Coast whole thing started, that's what it was based on. It was based on timing. Get the football out. I remember watching Brett Favre in the day, and he wouldn't even be the top of his drop, and they'd run a play action fake, and the fullback would go to the flat, and that ball would be in the air. Like, he didn't even look downfield. He didn't even look to see if the curl was open. All he knew was that the flat defender was hung up on the play fake, and he was going to get the ball to the fullback who's going to be able to catch, turn his shoulders, get upfield, and gain 6 or 7 or 9 instead of 2 or 3. Because if you wait too long, that the drops or the linebacker is going to be like, oh, okay, it's the timing. And that part of it is going to be huge.
What have you thought watching Caleb on film?
Physically, unbelievable. Like, physically, you can see why he was a number one, right? He's getting hit while he's throwing and still getting the football into a tight curl route in between a linebacker and a safety 15 yards down the field, even though it wasn't a first down. But he can do things physically. We saw him last year, how hard he was to tackle, make plays off schedule. I mean,
he's like evading Andrew Van Ginkel, like leaping over Jonathan Grenard. This is like some unbelievable stuff.
That game he had against us in Chicago last year, he did some pretty incredible things physically. It's the discipline part of it. If you listen to Kevin O'Connell, I know he did an interview with PA Tuesday, his weekly interview, and when he's talking about McCarthy, what is he talking about? Footwork, timing, footwork, timing, footwork.
He says it 100 times.
I know, but I'm saying that's a head coach. And you wonder why he's the quarterback guru. Well, it's like maybe he's the most maniacal when it comes to fundamentals of all quarterback or all head coaches, quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators in the league. That's part of the secret, right? It's not all about, because I know even at the NFL level, you get into scheme. And these guys are 15, 12, 10 weeks into the season. And you're like, okay, we got to do a footwork drill. And then the guys are like, oh my God, footwork drill. What? It's like, well, you're developing.
It's like hitting off a tee for like an MLB hitter or something.
You don't practice. You don't practice at 100%. When you're practicing and walking through, you can develop bad habits. And that attention to detail and the fundamentals of the position are huge. That's the thing, and that's the thing with Caleb Williams is gone are the days I think that he can sorta blame, not necessarily straight out blame the coaches, but he's going to be losing that. They have to put it on him, right? Yeah. It has to be on his shoulders, and he can't have any excuses anymore. And I think only then will he do what is necessary from a footwork standpoint and the attention, because none of that is fun. None of it's fun. Who the hell wants to go out 8 weeks into a season and do footwork drills for for 20 minutes or whatever, or concentrate? That's usually, screw around time, that kind of, to be great. And this is one of the reasons why I think Justin Jefferson has been so good for so long, is that the man, I'll never forget, in Cleveland combined practices last year, he had a couple balls that he should have caught, didn't. He was the last guy on the bus because he was at the jugs machine. He wasn't interviewing. He was at the jugs machine catching footballs. You don't become great by not paying attention to the little details. And so will Caleb embrace that? I don't know. If Caleb doesn't embrace the fact that he's going to have to turn his back on the defense and do some downhill play action passing game, then this isn't going to work for them. Same thing with us with J.J. McCarthy. If he doesn't embrace the footwork side of it, especially off schedule throws, then there's going to be a hitch in his development. You know, it's kind of that simple. And which guy's going to get there first? God, that's why you can't wait to watch Monday night, right? They got drafted the same year. One guy played, one guy didn't. I think Caleb still, the 65 sacks last year have left a mark. I think he gets a little eager to scramble and extend plays before letting the down the field ones develop. Will that still show up? I don't know. It showed up in the preseason a little bit. That's why that Kansas City game, when they started, and the blitzing in the preseason is off the chain, by the way. We're seeing zero blitzes. We're seeing, it's like, how do you evaluate talent when you're throwing a 20 pages of game plan at them? Anyway, I digress. But he got a little jumpy in the pocket. It's like, okay, well, that's something that playing last year has changed him as a quarterback. McCarthy didn't play, so he's a little more green, but he doesn't come into this game with that kind of scarring, or not. I hate to call it fear per se, but just that reaction to seeing the pass rusher, feeling it, right? So how much is he going to see the pass rush? That's why I think Flores is going to throw the kitchen sink at him and never let him feel comfortable. You can't let this kid get into a groove.
The thing for me with him, watching him, is sometimes it feels like when that first read is muddy. So like, let's say he's looking to his right and it is a quick curl or just like something to flat, and that's muddy, and he has to reset over the middle, then he can get a little antsy to want to go. And so the question for me is going to be, if you're Brian Flores, how can you muddy that first read? And then can you contain the pocket after that and contain him after that? It is fascinating. To segue a little bit to JJ, like the point you made about Kevin O'Connell talking about the fundamentals and footwork and timing. I mean, I think so much of it is you can embrace it and you can work on it every day. But when you're in that environment, like, can your mechanics and can your footwork remain the same? Or does the anxiety and the pressure of that environment and the stress of it alter the fundamentals that you have worked tirelessly on every single day? And that's,
that's the
like
test.
We talked that, right? That's the fascination.
Let me ask you this question: can you ride a bike when you're nervous? Right?
I don't even know if I can ride a bike anymore these days.
Well, okay. So what do you do? Roller skate? Knowing you probably rollerblade. Are you a rollerblader? Is that what you do?
No, I don't. No, I've been on the bike because I've had an Achilles injury. But anyway,
well, my point is this: is that you know how to ride a bike when you're upset, when you're you could be going through about anything. You could still jump on that bike and ride it. That's what the fundamentals have to be. They have to be so ingrained in how you do things that no matter what's going on around you, those stay consistent. Does that always happen? No, but that's the level that you aspire to. You mentioned off-schedule throws and those kinds of things. That was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was a machine in that regard, right? And people hated him for it. Or, say hated him for it, but it's like, my God, the guy's like a robot. It's like, well, what makes you laugh makes you cry. The guy can go from 1 to 2 to 3 back. He can do that because that's him. That's how he's built. He's a robotic kind of guy. He's not a draw it in the dirt, make things happen. Like Patrick Mahomes, who everybody loves to watch because of the off schedule and the sidearms and all. You need to be that ingrained fundamentally. It's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not fun to talk about, but when the game's over, you have to, I think, as a quarterback, and I'm not a quarterback coach, I didn't play the position, but I've faced enough of them to, the things you have to be proud about and aspire to do are those exact things, where the play where it was, I went to 1, it wasn't there, I looked at 2, then went to 3, and the robotic kind of aspect of it. You can't just go out there and just say, I'm going to make plays and just do it. No, it's such a process, man. It's such a process, and the difference between being right on the money and being off is like this much. Remember Sam Darnold in Detroit? Off this much. That's all it takes. Just a little bit.
And the uncertainty, the uncertainty of what these guys are going to look like in that environment is why I was talking to a buddy the other day, and he's like, so how's JJ looking? I'm like, well, I mean, there's been some good, there's been some bad. I don't know in this environment what it's going to look like. And he goes, well, that's something that'll get me to subscribe to The Athletic right there with that hard level analysis. But you actually don't know.
You're telling them the truth.
Right.
You're telling them the truth.
Right. And I can predict, but with zero, there's just it's such a different environment from what we see out here on the practice field. It's like when I covered baseball and you're trying to these hitters used to be simulating like, how can I hit a curveball? But then when you're tossed in that environment with the uncertainty of being at the plate, I mean, it's a totally different kind of simulation. So it's fascinating to me. I will ask this.
When I hear that from you, I think of Moneyball. And one of my favorite parts of that movie is Brad Pitt when he's talking to the lead scout, and he's like, you go up to these parents and these kids and you tell them that they're going to make it. He's like, you say that you know, but you don't, right? You say you know, but you don't. So anybody who's telling you on that level how things are going to play out and they think they know, they don't. They don't know.
No, it's like
I've been around this thing enough to know what can we be sure of into this game, which is very little. I know I've heard Kevin O'Connell talk about it. They're building some of that into the offense, the unpredictability of what they're going to see. They're building that in. How he does that, I would be fascinated to know. But we won't. We can't. It's not ours to know. That's company secrets right there. But the unknown, that's a big part of week one, is you just don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I'll end you here, but how important do you feel like the run game is going to be Monday night? How
Huge.
Interested are you to see it? And then tangentially, like TJ Hawkinson as a safety valve, just those two facets of the offense to me feel critical. The ability that they're going to have to run the football effectively, and then TJ being on his P's and Q's. What do you think when you hear that? I'm
excited to see what Jordan Mason's going to do. I think he could be, and not like he's going to break for a 70-yard touchdown here or there, but he gets into that second level. This guy, yards after contact was one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the league. I mean, he's tough to bring down. He's tough to tackle. If you can
highest missed tackle rate for running backs among all running backs last year with 150 carries, 37.3%.
So then you sit there and go, okay, wow, if we could win the time of possession, right? Can't turn the ball over and win the time of possession. But let's say we can get a couple good long drives in the first half and start to wear down the defense a little bit, and then you have Jordan Mason back there. Well, I know it's not in Kevin O'Connell's DNA to win a game handing the football off. I don't know if we've ever won a game, but this might be the time and place for it. And Jordan Mason might be the guy to do it. So you mentioned the running game. Is it going to be big? Yeah, absolutely. It takes pressure off of McCarthy. It lets the play action passes. It opens those up, makes that play fake much more deadly, right? So the running game for the Vikings is going to be huge. So on top of that, I think there's going to be a comfort zone with JJ and Hawkinson. So we're going to see how that looks, because Hawkinson, even toward the end of last year, he was out there, but he wasn't that piece of the pie that he was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So will that blossom into a relationship? And that could be awesome. You got to get the ball to JJ, number one. I mean, that's the big thing. But I'm sorry, to Justin Jefferson. I got too many JJs. Especially if it's especially if they play a lot of man to man, then the tight end position is going to be critical. So But that running game, and we know how important the running game is going to be for them. If Ben Johnson is the same, if that's his part of his, DNA, which we saw in Detroit, play action passing, that's a huge part of their game. So if that's the case, no one's going to bite on a run fake if the running back isn't getting 5-6 yards of carry. It diminishes the potency of a play action passing game. So it's vital for them and what they've been doing. And then for us with the young quarterback, it's vital for us as well. So, I mean, this game could go that way. It could be a very quick first half, a lot of handoffs, a lot of punts, no point, very few points on the board. I mean, field position, that whole thing, it could go that way.
Yeah. Is there anything else with this game that we haven't talked about that you're intrigued by?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Redmond getting a start is a huge deal. I mean, he's a tryout guy, right?
Unbelievable.
He is developed so much that and to count on him to be out there with the ones is huge. And then I'm really looking to see how well that the cornerback room plays, that group. What's the safety situation going to look like, because Metellus doesn't play deep safety a lot. So Harrison Smith is going to be out there quite a bit. How's that going to look? And then offensively, I don't think he has as many question marks. You kind of know it's more of a what plays are they going to call, formations, all those kinds of things. And are we going to run the football more and dedicate to that? And we could be a counter power team. They don't know what our running game is going to look like. They really don't.
What about if it's a pony package with both backs on the field? Never seen that.
Could be any of that, right? It could be any of that. I'm trying, and I'm sorry, I forget. Keith Carter. He was the running game coordinator for New York Jets. He's now with our offensive line assistant offensive line coach. He brings perhaps a whole different style of run game to this offense. That could be the twist that changes everything Monday night. The Bears may not be ready. They're ready for zone. They're ready for outside zone, inside zone, cutback zone. That's what we've done, right? That's Jones. That's Aaron Jones. That's why Jordan Mason, you're like, we can maybe run some counter power with this. We can just maybe take some things straight downhill and just try to push guys out of the way. And, so as many question marks as we have, we have about the Bears, they have about us as well. Yeah,
I think that's an astute point. Pete, thanks for hopping on as always.
Thanks,
I can't wait to see you at the Soldier Field.
Can this game just get here? Oh my God.
I know.
You think it's bad now? Wait till Monday, Monday at around 10 o'clock in the morning. You're going to be God.
Yeah, I'm trying to schedule things in Monday in Chicago. I'll get lunch with this college buddy. I'll do this. But it's the build up. I'm ready to let's kick this thing off and get it going. Can't wait to do it.
We've been waiting long enough for this. We've had to suffer through 3 preseason games. Let's go.
Yeah, what a terrible life we live watching football. And no, thank you, Pete. I will link Eye in the Sky. And to those watching and listening, I hope they check it out. It was phenomenal. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Talk to you.
And that will do it for episode 109 of the Alec Lewis Show. Thank you guys for being here and for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed listening or watching the conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. As it's a blast as always with Pete, who will be on the call Monday night on the Vikings Audio Network. Go check out his YouTube channel, Eye in the Sky. And then I'll rattle off the rest. First Resource Bank, they present this show, a phenomenal sponsor and local pillar of the community. Their branches are everywhere, but if you need advanced finite information, that's right in the description. I write for The Athletic, so tons of stories over there all week and in the weeks to come. The grind does not stop at all. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, like us. And if there are any sponsorship inquiries that you guys have, you can email me, aleclewis54@gmail.com. That'll do it for episode 109. And we will talk to you guys later in the week with Kevin Fishbane of The Athletic, giving us the Bears perspective on this very intriguing game. Talk to you guys soon.